Well, hey guys, we're so excited to be kicking off our new small group study over the book of Daniel. And over the next 6 weeks, we will be walking through this book, really the first 6 chapters. And as Steve mentioned on Sunday, really a theme of this whole book is the idea that Daniel had a foundation that carried him through so many seasons of change. And so we're going to be kicking off week 1, and we're going to hand it over to Steve. And I hope that you get a lot out of this and have a great discussion as you look at very practical ways that we help build a godly foundation.
Finish up with this because I thought this was a good application. If I did too much history, why should you build a strong foundation with Jesus Christ? And let me just go do some points because there's so much that you could take from this. But here, first of all, 2 things. Storms are a part of life. It does not mean if you say, I'm going to trust Jesus Christ with my life, that you're not going to have any storms or any problems. And I know sometimes people think that, or you may say, well, now I know some preachers who preach that, or at least seem to preach that. But the problem is that's just not what's in the Bible. The Bible is absolutely clear. You will have storms. You will have difficulties. You will have troubles. There are a lot of reasons for that. We'll deal with that in the weeks to come. There are a lot of things that contribute to that. But it's a part of life. And a part of the storms of life and the struggles of life are to help secure and test and cause you to say, I'm not going to yield my foundation. I'm not going to build my life on anything other than the God who created me, the God who rescued me by His Son, Jesus Christ, and to have a determination similar to Daniel's determination, even though he knew a whole lot less than you and I know. The second thing is a strong foundation is your best defense in life. It is. In fact, honestly, that's probably not the right way to say it. Strong foundation is your only defense in life. It's your only defense in life. Because otherwise, you're going to trust in what the culture or the society tells you to trust in, which is your looks, right? How are you more attractive than everyone else? Are you bigger and stronger than everyone else? Are you smarter, more intellectual? Do you get the game better than anyone else? Your position in life and your influence and what you have and what you can, those become the things then that you trust in if you don't have a foundation that goes deeper than that in life. In fact, let me tell you, this is Luke's version of Jesus' parable, which I actually really like. Matthew also records this same parable that Jesus taught. But here's how Luke, how he writes it. He says in verse 47 of Luke 6, he says, I will show you what everyone is like who comes to me, these are Jesus' words, him speaking, and hears my words and obeys them. That means, obeys them means you trust him, you believe him, so you latch onto what he says and what he teaches you, and you do the things that he says you're to do. Verse 48 says, that person is like a man building a house who dug, say it with me, dug what? Yeah. He went deeper than people tend to go. Man who dug deep and laid the foundation on rock. When the floods came, which means they will come in everyone's life, when the floods came, the water tried to wash the house away, but it could not shake it because the house was built what? Well, it was well built. It was smart how the builder had realized, no matter how nice a house I build or how strong the walls are, without a strong and solid and firm foundation built on truth, built on the God that created us, who made us, the God who is alive and well, the God who has compassion that goes beyond our compassion. If I don't build my life on Him and that relationship, then what I build is vulnerable. Because it is built on something that cannot, the foundation has to be able to withstand what comes. In verse 49, it says, but the one who hears my words and does not obey is like a man who built his house on ground without a foundation. When the floods came, the house quickly fell and was completely destroyed. Now the truth is this, every house is built on a foundation, right? Even though he says without a foundation. The other, in Matthew's version, he says a house built on what? Sand, right? The song, there's the old hymn, On Christ the solid. Okay, a few people, okay, I don't know if you're raised in church like I was. All other ground is, yeah, exactly. And that, he uses that part of the illustration, but it's the same thing as saying it was built on no foundation, because he means the foundation you built your life on can't withstand the weight and the pressure of what will come in life. And this is purposeful for God, so that you kind of realize that, I cannot miss this or put this off, that I need a foundation in my life, even now, that will last me, forever. A foundation that is built on God and on Christ and on who He is. So it's always a challenge to, what are you going to build your foundation on? Is your foundation strong enough to handle what comes? As opposed to, am I strong enough to handle what comes? Is my foundation strong enough to handle what comes? And one other passage, this is in Psalm 61. Just to let you know, this is a Psalm of David. He didn't write all the Psalms, but I just thought this one was really good. A friend had sent me this a couple weeks ago, and I thought, what a great word that ties into this also. And this is what David writes in Psalm 61. He says, "Oh God, listen to my cry, hear my prayer." And I thought, what he's saying is, God cares most. God cares most. So I'm going to cry out to Him. And, KSBJ adopted the phrase long time ago, God, He listens. Because God cares. We are important to God. And He's doing the same thing. He's crying out to God rather than crying out to everyone else, because He knows this is the one who cares most for me in my life. This is David's understanding. Verse 2 says, "From the ends of the earth I cry to you for help. Listen, my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the towering rock of safety." When I read this, I thought, what he's saying is there's a bigger picture that we don't fully grasp in life. And we're looking to God as a rock, as a tower, as our strength, because God understands, God sees, God knows. The reason God says, do this today, is because God knows what that will do for us tomorrow. That's His love for us. That's like a parent, a mother or a father trying to build into their child things that will last them, things that will be a strength for them, that will benefit them, even though they know that the child doesn't always see it this way, right? I love to tell, the story of my son when he's getting ready to go back to second grade. I said, we start school next week, and he's like, why? And, because he loved, different than my daughter, he loved summer, vacation, not going to school. I said, well, because there's more that you need to learn. And his response was, no, I know everything I need to know now. Right. From his perspective, that's the way he saw it. That's how he understood it. From my perspective, and I'm the one that has to be responsible, at this point, is like, no, you don't, right? And even your statement proves that you do not. But he didn't understand that. Here's what it says in verse number 3. "For you are my safe refuge, a fortress where my enemies cannot reach me. Let me live forever in your sanctuary, safe beneath the shelter of your wings." And this one just always reminds me in those verses that God is always bigger. He's always bigger than the storm. God is always bigger than what comes against us. That's the point of the foundation. That's the point of Daniel's. If somebody says, what's the theme of Daniel's book? For me, that's the theme. That Daniel had a foundation in his life that he would not be deterred from, that he stayed with, because Daniel believed, maybe in his, because we don't know anything about Daniel's, first 15 years of his life. But Daniel had been taught and believed that's where I should put my trust and my hope.